Hey loves, welcome back. Today we're trying out the brand new Patrick Ta Hydra-Luxe Luminous Skin Perfecting Foundation. Of course, we're going to do a full day wear test and I have two shades here, so I'm going to swatch both. I really didn't love his original foundation. It didn't wear the best on my skin personally. I have combo skin, so hopefully this one will be better. It retails for $58, so she's pricey, but is she worth it? We shall see. So grab a snack, get cozy, and let's get into it. So all I have on my face right now is just leftover skincare from this morning. Apparently with this, you don't even need to do skin prep because there is skincare in the foundation and it's very hydrating. So this is a lightweight luminous foundation with serum inspired ingredients and a buildable medium coverage formula that boosts hydration and blurs the look of imperfections. So again, the finish is radiant, the coverage is medium, and there's 3 forms of hyaluronic acid. So it is very hydrating. So I'm not going to do any skin prep. I'm not going to do setting spray or anything. This was just whatever I had left over earlier, which is pretty much faded at this point. So I have 2 different shades, 14 Golden, 15 Golden Neutral. Let's start with 14 Golden. The bottle is just giving very luxe vibes. For reference, those are the 2 colors. We have 14 Golden, 15 Golden Neutral. I'm going to just very lightly blend these in so I can see kind of like which shade is better. So that's 15 Golden Neutral. I'm just spot cleaning my brush and I'm gonna see 14. I don't know. I think I'm gonna go with 15 because 14 is picking up a little bit more on the yellow side, but honestly they both blended into the skin really nicely. Hold on, I have to try this again on this side. Let's do another. I'm just gonna blend it in with my finger. So again, this one is 14 Golden. Might pull a little kind of yellow on my skin, a little bit. And then 15, I think I'm gonna go with 15. They both honestly though look pretty good. And I always guess with my foundation. I think once you know your undertone, it does help a little bit. So I try to go for foundations that have a bit more of a neutral tone so that it's not too yellow on my skin. Okay, wait, now that I'm blending this in, I'm like, is this too dark? And by the way, I'm trying to match the rest of my body because I know this color is a little too tan, but it matches the tan on my body better than on my face. My face is always a little bit lighter than my body. All right, let's start blending this in. I'm going to use the Ultimate Blending Brush from e.l.f. on this side. Ooh, very luminous. It actually feels really nice going in on my bare skin. I honestly never do that. I always do at least a light layer of something just so that the foundation kind of just glides on a little bit better, but this is super luminous for sure. I'm gonna do a little bit more up top. I kind of want to honestly do 14 on the other side so I can see which shade matches better, because it's just doing one little swatch, sometimes it's hard to tell, and I feel like both colors could work for me right now. Now if I had no color to me, I would probably be a little bit lighter on the spectrum, but very pretty, very, very luminous. I have combo skin, so this kind of worries me a little bit because my face does get pretty shiny and oily around my T-zone the most, and this is just very fresh. It does give beautiful coverage, and right now it does look very smooth on the skin. It looks as if I put this on top of a moisturizer. Like my skin feels and looks very hydrated. I like the coverage that it gave. I think it evened out my skin tone beautifully. I'm gonna do 14 Golden on the other side just because I really want to compare the tones of the foundations to one another to see what looks better. If you want to try this, I'm pretty sure you can get a sample of the foundation so you don't have to commit to a really pricey foundation if you don't know if it's going to work for you. On the other side, I'm going to use a sponge, which honestly I prefer a brush, but we're going to try out a sponge. And again, this one is 14 Golden. I think the foundation gets a little bit more sheer with the sponge. It's not as medium coverage. I would say it's more like a lighter coverage kind of foundation with the sponge. I definitely prefer it with a brush, but that is personal preference, because some people do like that more kind of sheer natural coverage, which I do like as well, but sometimes I'm kind of like, you know, go hard or go home. Let's get the coverage going. I don't mind a luminous foundation, but I want it to cover up. I think it does blend really nicely though with a sponge as well. It's still super luminous. I feel like you get more of that luminosity though with a brush, because it's not absorbing as much of your product. So if you like a little bit more of a sheer look, I would go with a sponge. I feel like on the sponge side too, it gives more kind of skin tint vibes, versus with the brush on this side, it looks more fuller coverage and just a little bit more flawless on the skin and smooth. I like the side with a brush more personally. I also think both shades work pretty well. I don't really have any major issues with both tones. So I like the undertones of the foundation. I thought the color 14 was going to pull a little yellow on my skin, but I think it ended up looking perfect. 15 is also nice. I thought it was going to be maybe a little bit too dark and kind of orangey, but it worked out, I think, really nicely. Let's finish up the rest of the makeup on camera together. I'm gonna do a couple Patrick Ta products that I really like, starting off with the cream contour and bronzer duo. This one is in She's Sculpted. I'm gonna go in with this first. I love his cream and powder products, especially his blushes. They're so good. And on my eyes right now, I have on the Major Dimension 2 palette, which I just did a little dupe video on that, so if you have not seen it, definitely check it out. That was a good one. But I've been loving these pinky brown tones. I cannot wait for Patrick Ta to come out with the concealer, because you know it's going to be hydrating. I think that's probably going to be next. Watch. Now for blush, one of my all-time favorite products is the cream and powder duo. This one is in She's That Girl. We're going to keep the pink vibes today. I'm going to go with the cream first. I know that his technique is powder over cream, but I like cream over powder because his blush formula is incredible. It's so creamy and it just melts into the skin. Takes little to no effort to blend, and it just gives the most beautiful wash of color. Now let's go in with concealer. I got a new shade of my House Labs concealer. I typically use shade 23, but I got 24 light, medium, neutral. I'm also curious to see how this foundation compares to the House Labs foundation, which I really like. Right off the bat, I feel like it's way more hydrating than that one. Like that one is very hydrating and gives like a natural kind of satin glowy finish, but this one feels even more hydrating than that one, which is crazy. So let's set the under eyes. I'm gonna go in with Huda Beauty Cherry Blossom Powder. Look at that. It's always so satisfying. Putting on the powder is my favorite step in my complexion. It used to be foundation, but the powder is what transforms your face. And then for the rest of my face, I'm going to use my LYS Triple Fix Translucent Powder. I really like this because it's not too matte on the skin, but it does absorb any excess shine. It's just a really lightweight powder. I love it. One of my favorite Patrick Ta products is actually his nose contour brush. I love how easy this is to contour your nose. It's super soft. I'm just gonna do a little bit right down the sides. If you're not good at nose contour like me, this just makes it so effortless. This is such a good pink blush. Another one that I really like, I don't know if this is limited edition. This one is in Just Enough. I love that little cotton candy pink. I'm going to add a little bit of that. Has a little kind of glow to it, but it gives that light baby doll cheek. I'm going to just do some brown liner. A lip combo, ABH Deep Taupe. This is a gorgeous pink lipstick. It's Nude Creme from Milani. And then I'm going to add some of this Dose of Colors Lip Oil Gloss. And this one I have in the shade Pretty Cute. Makeup is complete. I let this kind of sit for a little bit just to see how the foundation would look. And I have to say, I think everything looks really pretty. There's a slight luminosity to it still, even after I set. But I think it's really smooth on the skin for sure, which I do like. I like the coverage of it. It's extremely hydrating, and it's crazy because you don't need skin prep with it because of how hydrating it is. And I never go in with just straight foundation, so that was really impressive. Everything applied really nicely over top of the foundation as well. And for how hydrating it is, I think the powder looks really nice. Like it sets the foundation beautifully. I thought there was going to still be a lot of that luminous finish peeking through, but with the powder, I think it did a nice job at just taming that down. I love a good luminous foundation, but with the heat and with my combo skin, I always have to set it. But you could always use a powder if you have dry skin and you want to keep that luminosity that isn't as matte. Maybe something with a more natural finish. For instance, if you want to keep that glow with the foundation but you want to set everything down, the Kosas Cloud Set powder is a really nice option because this doesn't have a true flat matte kind of finish. And that's why I really like this OIS powder as well, because it is mattifying but it's not too intense. And typically, especially now for this time of year, I would use a mattifying spray to just lock everything in, but I'm actually just going to skip out on that so we can see how the foundation looks on its own. So I'm gonna come back in a few hours and we'll see how everything looks. So it has been over 6 hours since I first applied this foundation, actually closer to 7 at this point. It's 9:45 p.m. and I just reapplied my lip combo, but I have not touched up at all. I did work out today. Also, I was walking outside. I was sweating. I was actually sweating the most around my forehead, like the perimeter right here. So there is a little bit of fading around the forehead. For how hydrating this foundation is, I thought that it was going to feel a lot more oily at this point, especially after working out, but it still feels really comfortable. There is also a little bit of fading around my nose and above my lip, but I will say I'm happy that there's no visible dry patches or any of the foundation clinging to my skin in certain areas. Like it still looks very luminous, very hydrating. I'm pretty sure I saw a claim that said that this is clinically proven to hydrate your skin for 8 hours. And I mean, I definitely feel like it does. I think the key to this, and just to making it look the best throughout the day, is applying powder with it. Otherwise, I feel like even if you have super dry skin, the foundation on its own, it's just super hydrating and luminous. It needs to be set, because I can just imagine hair and everything just kind of sticking to your face throughout the day. So a good powder is key. I think whether you have dry skin, combo skin, there's options out there where you can still get that really pretty luminosity, but just kind of set everything down. So this is definitely for those of you who like something super luminous and hydrating. If you like a matte finish or a satin finish foundation, this is not for you. This is super radiant. So I'll check back in tomorrow and we'll see how it wears. So I'm back for another full day wear test. I did my skincare this morning. At this point, it's pretty much all faded. It's like almost 12:30-ish right now. Today, I'm gonna use a primer. So I'm gonna use the CoverGirl Sticky Grip Primer. We know how the foundation wears on its own, but I wanna see how it performs with something like this. I actually really like these new CoverGirl primers. I think they're so good. I like the Velvet Blur one as well, but I want a gripping primer, especially around this area, because that's where I had some fading with the foundation. This is also very hydrating. Not that we really need it with this foundation, but I'm gonna just do a light little layer of this. This feels really good. I love the consistency of this primer. Now let's let that marinate for a little bit, just so it has time to really settle into the skin. This does actually absorb pretty quickly. I love this little fan too. It's from Amazon. If you're ever on the go and you want to just kind of speed this up, this really comes in handy. You can see there's just that little bit of tackiness that I love. And I think today I'm going to use both shades again because I just could not really tell a difference when I tried these out for the first time. Starting off again, 15 Golden Neutral. I'm going to use this on this side. Honestly, this is so serum-y that you could even just blend this in with your fingers. That's how nice the consistency is. I'm gonna use a clean foundation brush today. This one is Real Techniques 259. I'm gonna apply this with a brush, by the way. I don't want to say I didn't like it with a sponge. I just prefer it with a brush. But that is definitely personal preference. So we have that hydration, which honestly, with how hydrating this is, I thought it wore really nicely the other day. I thought it was going to get really oily, but I'm curious today if it's going to look any better with that primer underneath. Now on the other side, let's do 14 Golden. See, this one is a little bit lighter in tone. I feel like this matches like my face, but maybe not my neck and body as well. Well, actually no, maybe it does. I don't know. See, I feel like they both just look so seamless. This is my Pinnacle foundation brush. I will have the foundation brushes that I used listed below. I know I'm always using a bunch of different ones, but see, that looks really good too. You can build up this foundation, by the way, if you want more coverage. I feel like it is a very natural medium coverage, but it does even out your skin tone and cover up what you need it to. But I have really tiny little, I don't even know if you would call them freckles, like little beauty marks there, and those are still peeking through. I have a beauty mark right here that you can still kind of see. So it's not intense full coverage, but I think for how serumy and hydrating it is, it does provide some natural medium coverage, which I really like. All right, I'm just finishing up my makeup. I used the same Patrick Ta bronzer, Rhode blush, and freckle. Concealer is going to be the same. So I'm pretty much using all similar products. The blush is different from the other day because today's look is a little bit more neutral. I also wanted to note this foundation is not self-setting. Like, even if you let this sit for several minutes without any powder, it's still going to look like this very hydrated, very shiny, very healthy. So setting is key. I think even if you have dry skin, you're gonna have to set this with a powder, because imagine just going all day like this. This is going to melt away. It's gonna feel just like you're wearing makeup. So you gotta set it with some powder. And then I think that allows the foundation to wear the best throughout the day. And then you're gonna get a little bit of that luminosity peeking through, but it's not as aggressive, I feel like, versus if you don't set. I cannot even imagine going all day like this. It's too much. Foundation is looking so good. All the products applied really nicely over top of it. I don't have any complaints, no issues. I'm not gonna use setting spray today. I just wanna see how the foundation wears with the primer. But with the powders and everything, it just made it look so much smoother, and it set it down. But I feel like there's still a little bit of like this natural kind of healthy look peeking through from the foundation because it is so hydrating, and I really like it. So right now it is 1:46 p.m. I'm gonna wear this for all day, the next couple hours, and I'll come back and I'll check in and we'll see how everything looks. So it's a little after 9 p.m. and this is what everything looks like. I have to say, for how luminous this foundation is, I thought it was going to be way more oily throughout the day, but it actually wore a lot better than I was expecting. And I like the way this foundation is so much more than the compact foundation that Patrick Ta has. That just did not work for me. No matter how many times I tried it, I never got it to work on my skin. But I feel like with this one, it works really well on my skin, especially with that primer today. I like that combo. I even want to try this out maybe with a more mattifying primer as well. I definitely want to experiment with this a little bit more because I think it's a beautiful formula. I think you would definitely enjoy this if you have dry to normal skin. If you have really oily skin, I don't think you would like it. I definitely think you can make it work, but you would have to use a mattifying primer, maybe a mattifying setting spray, and I think you could get away with it. But I don't know if you would even want a foundation this luminous if your skin is already super oily, but I do think you could make it work, but you're still gonna have some of that luminosity peeking through throughout the day. So again, if you have oily skin, I don't know how much you would really like that. So I definitely think the definition of this foundation is healthy, luminous, fresh skin. So if that's your vibe, or if you're into skin tints, I feel like you would like this because this gives kind of skin tint vibes with a little bit more coverage. So I think it's a beautiful formula and I will definitely continue using it. I want to compare it to my House Labs foundation because right now I feel like it's a little bit less coverage and more hydrating than that one, but I want to see how it looks side by side because this one does look really pretty. So let me know your thoughts. Are you guys gonna pick this up? I'm pretty sure you can probably go in and get a sample before committing to a full bottle. But yeah, if you want to splurge on something and you have more dry or normal skin, I think you would really enjoy this formula. The shade range is really good, and like I said, I also really like the undertones on both of these foundations and just the way that they melt into the skin. I'm very pleased. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully it was helpful. Make sure to subscribe for new videos every week, and I cannot wait to see you in my next one. Bye.